Trouble in Tarrant County as new COVID-19 numbers reveal the disease is affecting more and more families. On Wednesday, the Tarrant County Public Health Department reported 3 new deaths, bringing the total now to 231. The county also set a new record for positive COVID-19 cases with 606, topping the previous record of 605 set just 24 hours earlier. While confirmed cases are on the rise statewide and in most demographics, Tarrant County Public Health says more and more young people are testing positive for COVID-19. As for individual cities, Fort Worth and Arlington saw the highest day-to-day increase Wednesday, which is to be expected with larger populations. On a smaller scale, the city of Colleyville, which is refusing to enforce Tarrant County's new mask order, added 3 new cases Wednesday for a total of 73. However, when you consider active cases, that is not counting people who have already recovered, the most recent numbers from the city show active cases have more than doubled in Colleyville in the last 2 weeks. Another cause for concern, hospital beds appear to be running out. On June 1st, 53% of all Tarrant County hospital beds were occupied. A month later, the most recent numbers show that to be significantly higher at 70%. Officials here at the health department have stressed an increase in positive cases is not solely due to more tests, as the percentage of positive tests is almost twice what it was just a month ago. In Fort Worth, I'm Eric Alvarez.